We learned that the Nuggets, the Chicken Nuggets, have sacked head coach Michael Malone. He gone. And I'll bet you 9 out of 10 casual observers didn't even know the name of the general manager of the Denver basketball team, Celvin Booth. He was also poleaxed from Denver just days before the regular season ends, like this weekend. It's over. And here we are. Here we are. The coaching change. Someone named David Adelman. I used to interview his old man who never did much. Coached a lot of teams, didn't really win anything. Rick Adelman, but that's the spawn of Rick Adelman. So another coach who is a Nepo baby. Another Nepo baby in sports as David Adelman takes over. And so, don't bury the lead, my man. Who cares about the GM? Who cares about the interim coach? That's not the story. The story here is Michael Malone, who has been with the Denver basketball team for a decade and was there when they won the championship. He was on the sidelines, calling up the plays and all that. And now he is persona non grata. He has been given the pink slip. See you later. So let us discuss the question. Why? Why did the Nuggets make the decision to whack Michael Malone now? The postseason is looming. Like, this is even more bizarre than Memphis. Like, Memphis just thought, well, they're not really going anywhere, and there's some issues with Ja Morant. That was 11 days prior, and the Grizzlies, they decided to maul their head coach. But this is supposedly a Denver team that, even though they were not playing great in the moment, was a contender because of the Joker in the middle. So I've got disco, paper plates, and vultures. And we will combine all of these things together, and we will provide a nice, sparkling new hat, which, Lorena gets a lot of food and stuff over there. She gets a lot of good. See, this is a new hat. This is a Buffalo Bison hat. It's a solid-looking hat, right? It's a good hat.
That's a good hat.
Fits good, solid hat. So that's we're going to make that. All right, so my first thought, answering the question, why did the Denver basketball team eliminate the coach and the GM with the postseason looming in the horizon? So this is a Red Bull special. This is a Red Bull special trying to give a little bit of a jolt to the roster and looking to wake up a team that has been napping since the All-Star break. However, if you dig a little deeper, there's this weasel, you little weasel, as a certain MMA guy used to say, Josh Kroenke, who, you talk about winning the genetic lottery. Josh Kroenke is in the Kroenke family, and they have all the money in the world. I mean, they are just loaded. So Josh Kroenke won the genetic lottery, and so as a result, he gets to run a sports team. And so Josh Kroenke, the son, I believe, of the owner, said in the future, the immediate expectations for the Nuggets following the coaching change, he said all of 5 words. He said, play hard and have fun. Play hard and have fun. That's the money quote. You know what that also is? Say it with me now. Dead giveaway. That is a dead giveaway. Yeah. Captain Obvious. What does that tell you? Okay, now you are the investigator. You are analyzing that quote. What does that quote tell you? You play talk radio host. What does that quote tell you? I know what it tells you. I know on this side. What about you? So to me, don't change your answer. To me, it tells you that the Denver Nuggets were A, not playing hard, and B, were not having fun. They were not having fun, okay? So that's what that tells you. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to encourage the team to play hard and try to have fun. If they're already having fun and playing hard, it doesn't matter. You don't need to say it. It's obvious. Now, after the fact, I love the after-the-fact breathless reporting. So Michael Malone is a popular figure with the Denver basketball team and someone that is beloved by many in the basketball media. So when you get rid of someone who is deemed popular, You then need to turn to character assassination, which is what the Denver Nuggets are doing, trying to bury Michael Malone on his way out of Colorado. And it's exactly what's happening here. This breathless reporting that there was a civil war going on between Michael Malone and the GM Celvin Booth. They weren't even talking to each other. They hated each other's guts, and Malone was upset because he didn't like the way the roster was built. They got a bunch of suckbag young players on the bench. It's not a championship bench, and Malone was annoyed by that. And there was also some debates about certain guys who were playing that the GM wanted other people to play. And so they paint the picture that Malone was just a king of all a-holes, and that's why he was like, oh, and of course the Nuggets, the ownership group or the executives there, what happens is they leak stories. There's a story leak that Malone was giving preferential treatment. And this is going to blow you away. In the NBA, they never do this in the NBA. Giving special star treatment to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. OMG. Can you imagine that star players in basketball would be treated special? It's unbelievable. I mean, I know here that, like, myself and my colleague Colin Cowherd are treated exactly the same. Other than the extra zeros on his contract and the people that follow him around in case there's any crumbs that drop down from his mouth and they're there to clean it up. Other than that, very similar. Very, very similar. Very similar lives. Me and, my teammate, because there's no star system. We don't have a star system. Everyone has a star system, you moron. What's wrong with you? And it's a nice spin. But my breakdown on this is pretty simple. It's a night out on the town. It is a visit to the disco. It is Panic at the Disco is what it is. Now, this is turning into a total boondoggle, and I'm there for it. I'm there. A big bucket of buttered popcorn. Denver is 11-13 since the All-Star break. It is a desperation play by the Nuggets, a total desperation play. It's a little caffeine, a little Red Bull there trying to jumpstart things and trying to squeeze one more playoff run with some no-name assistant coach and hoping beyond hope, which I don't think hope is a great strategy. I don't think that they tell you that that's the way to turn to hope. It doesn't usually go so well. Now, page 2 here. So what does this particular move by the Nuggets say about Michael Malone's value? Because there's the public perception and then there's the private perception, right? So publicly, as we talked about here, Malone is considered one of the upper echelon head coaches in the NBA. This guy is prepared. He is methodical with his work. He is someone that lives, breathes, eats, sleeps basketball and puts the work in and all that. But then you realize privately in the bowels of the facility there where the Nuggets hold down the fort that they are really just whistling Dixie is what they're doing there. It's a reminder that Michael Malone and all NBA coaches are like those Dixie paper plates, disposable, right? Everyone's disposable. The average tenure of an NBA coach is about 2.5 seasons. That's it. 2.5 seasons. It is a merry-go-round, round and round and round and round on the merry-go-round, and it spins fast, and you better be careful, and you're going to be thrown off it. It's a whirlwind situation. So the Nuggets ownership, though, I will point out, years ago when I used to go to those NBA games and back in the good old days, and I believe it or not, I even went to Laker games, and Phil Jackson was the coach of the Lakers, and he ranted, which was amusing because Phil lasted in Chicago and L.A. for a long time. But Phil used to preach and I guess the Nuggets are really following the Zen philosophy, but Phil Jackson preached that a coach's message grows stale the longer they stay in one outpost. And he was an advocate that you had to change and go to different locations because the players tune you out. That the more the team becomes accustomed, and he also said you had to change the roster a lot because guys do get comfortable. And once they get comfortable, they put on the earmuffs. And they're like, hey, we're good. We're out on that. And so Malone was there 10 years. and he ends up getting decommissioned. All right, last word here. Now we go to the Komodo Dragon in the room. Now, what is the Komodo Dragon room? With Michael Malone dispatched from Denver, how does this impact Nikola Jokic and his long-term future with the Nuggets? So Jokic, by all accounts, is a top 20 all-time NBA player already. Even if he retired today, he'd be a top 20 all-time NBA player, probably top 10 based on his accomplishments. He doesn't get the credit because he doesn't play in a big market, and so people dismiss him. But he's been amazing. He's been absolutely amazing for the Nuggets and all that stuff. However, my default position is no different on this than it was on Ja Morant in Memphis. My position is that Nikola Jokic was fully aware that this was an option, and he did not put his foot down and use his star influence to keep Michael Malone as coach of the Nuggets. If Nikola Jokic truly had an issue that I'm sure he likes Michael Malone personally, but if he wanted him professionally to be the coach of the Nuggets still, Malone would still be the coach of the Nuggets. They would have gotten rid of the GM. They would have kept Michael Malone. In that business, it has been this way as my entire life in the NBA, right? I find it impossible to believe that this was not greenlit by Nikola Jokic. That the chatter was now there's stories being thrown out that he was frustrated with the Nuggets defense, and of course I'm sure a lot of people were frustrated. The team blows right now; they're not playing very well, and so you also have the vultures now who are circling overhead, and you get that ominous music playing, and so trying to poach talent, trying to get some talent, and say, well, there's no way the Nuggets would ever trade Nikola Jokic. This guy's a Nugget for life. Well, you said the same thing about Luka and how that worked out. So if you follow the gambling market, I don't think I need to tell you who the favorite is to acquire these services of the Joker. That's the team that the NBA rigs for everyone to go to over the course of their career if they're halfway decent. That ugly purple and gold team. Now, followed by Jokic, the other option would be Jokic leaving the NBA altogether, leaving not just the Nuggets, but the NBA, and going and playing for one of the teams in his homeland there in Serbia, and just saying, I'm out. That's it. See you later. I'm done. I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to go back to my old life. I'm going to drink 3 liters of Coca-Cola every day, and I'll live my greatest life. Some of the other teams mentioned, you've got the usual suspects, the Warriors, the Clippers, and the wild card, the Toronto Raptors. They were tossed out there as well. And for the Lakers here, they got to hope that Nico Harrison gets fired, and then he gets hired by Denver, and then his first move would be like, I remember Jokic was a fatty coming into the NBA, so I'm worried he might become a fatty again. So we'll give him to the Lakers, and we need like a box of sand. And that's, I think we need like one other little shard of glass, and we're good. And that would be an even trade.